If somebody, let's say, is a tradesman, and they like to learn some things, they know their faith, but they don't read theology. But they go to work. As they're working, they're saying their Jesus prayer. They're not listening to, I don't know, death metal or something, but they're saying their Jesus prayer, etc. They read the scriptures, because of course everybody should be reading the scriptures. I mean, regardless of whether we're simple or not, right? They go to church, etc. Well, that's obviously a path to sanctification. And, perhaps they had some deficit intellectually that didn't allow them to study more. There's no deficit there. Now, take someone else, though, that God didn't give them those kinds of tools, no pun intended. They don't have the aptitude, perhaps, to work with their hands. But for whatever reason, God in his ineffable wisdom gave them the ability to read, to write, to talk to people. So as long as they're following the examples of the saints who did those things, I can't see how that would be a bad thing to pursue, because each man has his gift, and therefore each man has his calling.
So for people who do feel that they're not smart enough to understand theology, how should they go about, how should they look at education, I guess?
We should always be doing the best we can to learn what we can, and to the degree to which we can't, then taking refuge in humility. So my father is a plumber, and he's a carpenter as well, and he can do some electric, and he knows how to do all sorts of things. He can, to me, it looks like working miracles with his hands, and I do not have those talents, but whenever I see somebody with those talents, I think that's terrific that they have those talents. And see, the reason God didn't give everybody the same talents is so that we have to be a body. Because what does St. Paul say? Does the hand say to the foot, I have no need of thee? Right? The church is in need of all these various types of people. Education is sort of a proving ground or a testing ground to see where we belong. But when we say where we belong, it doesn't mean that the intellectual is necessarily higher than the man or the woman who does manual labor. It's rather to say, this is what I've tried these various things. God blessed these for me to do these things and didn't bless those other things. And as long as we're abiding in virtue and seeking after grace, then it's not a question of better or worse. It's a question of where God wanted you to be.